Hi, I'm Lucy from Sew Essential, and today I'm going to show you a super nifty sewing trick, how you can sew shirring on a cover stitch machine. Let's get started. Shirring is when we sew shirring elastic backwards and forwards, usually in a panel in multiple rows, to create a concertina or gathered effect. So it's great to use in your dressmaking because not only does it look really pretty, but it also makes it incredibly easy to fit the garments, and it's also incredibly comfortable to wear as well. So the dress I'm wearing today, which is the Style Arc Bell dress, one of my all-time favourite sewing patterns, available to buy on our site. I'll pop a link below for you. This has a sheared panel on the back. So if I turn around and just show you, you can see here that I've sewn shirring elastic into that panel across the back, and that means it's got that pretty design detail, but it also is lovely and cinched in at the waist. It's really comfortable to wear, and I've got a flat panel across the front, but then it joins that sheared panel across the back, and it's cinching me in at the waist, but I haven't had to worry about getting the fit spot on because I've got that give in the elastic, and it's also incredibly comfortable to wear, but I'm not compromising on a nice fitted waist on this garment. So it is a beautiful technique to learn. You'll sometimes see it on sleeves on garments. Sometimes the entire bodice on a garment will be made out of a sheared panel and then have a skirt attached to it, for example. That's a really popular type of sundress in the summer. So it is a great technique to learn, and you can sew it on your sewing machine. I've done a full in-depth tutorial on how you do that, and I'll pop a link to that below for you as well. But recently I discovered that you could do it on a cover stitch machine, and I just couldn't wait to show you this fantastic technique. So a cover stitch machine is normally associated with sewing hems on garments, particularly knit and jersey garments. If you'd like to know more about cover stitch machines, what they do, and if you really need one, I'll pop a link to a video I created below answering exactly those questions and showing you all the different types of hemming and capabilities so that you can have a watch of that and make your mind up. We do stock a wide range of cover stitch, overlocker and sewing machines on our website, so there's a link to our website below as well, so do check that out if you're in the market for a new one, and do get in touch with us because we are experts and are very happy to help you with your quest for any of those machines. But yes, you can sew it on a cover stitch machine. So today I'm going to use the Baby Lock Desire 3, which is my current machine, and I'm going to use hemline shirring elastic, which we also stock on our website. We stock it in black and white, and again I'll pop links to that below and my machine below, because Baby Lock found that the hemline brand produced the best results. I think it's to do with the coating on the thread and the amount of stretch and those sorts of things, but when they tested it they found that the hemline worked the best. So I'm going to pop links to that below for you, and I'll take you step by step through the tutorial and show you how you can create this beautiful pretty technique using your cover stitch machine. Let's get started. So if we're going to sew shirring on our cover stitch machine, we're going to thread it slightly differently. I'm using my Baby Lock machine. We've got the full range on our website, so you can view them and purchase them there. You should be able to do this technique on other brands of cover stitch, and we do stock other brands, Brother, Janome, Pfaff and Husqvarna. They will all thread differently. But essentially what you want to do is you don't want your shirring elastic going through any tension. So on my Baby Lock machine, to thread to the cover stitch looper normally, I would pass the thread through that thread guide there, like so, then just drop it down the side, hook it around the metal there, and normally to put it through the tension when I'm doing a standard cover stitch, I would bring the thread back up and over, and that is where the tension is on my machine. But I want to avoid that, so instead I'm going to bring the thread underneath the wheel and just through that thread guide at the front there. And the reason that we do this is because we do not want any tension on the shirring elastic. We want that to freely flow through the machine. And as you're sewing, you just need to keep an eye on it to make sure it is freely flowing through the telescopic thread guide. If you notice that it gets caught, you know, just stop and just free it up so that it can keep moving nice and smoothly. Now, my cover stitch machine is an air threading cover stitch machine. So to get the shearing elastic into the threading port and through the air threading path, I'm just going to use this wire which comes with the machine, and it's also the same wire you use to clean that threading ports, those threading ports if ever you need to. And it's just got a little hole at the end of the wire that you can pass your thread through, or you might, if you're cleaning your machine, if you're cleaning the ports, you might want to just pass some yarn through there, and then you just feed this very, very fine wire all the way through the threading port, and you just keep going until it reaches the other end, and then just pull it through, and that's how you get that shearing elastic through those threading ports. But if you've got a manual threading cover stitch machine, obviously you would just thread that in the usual way, using tweezers or whatever. But yeah, I'll just keep going until it's reached the other end, and then I can pull it through the other end and just make sure I've got that elastic, shearing elastic in the tray at the other side as usual. Just cut the excess off, and then I'll be ready to start sewing. I've got the tension set to cover stitch, even though we're not using the tension, and I'm also using my longest stitch length as well. Like gathering, you want to be using your longest stitch length when you're sewing shearing on a cover stitch machine. And then in terms of the needles, you just thread those in the usual way that you would for either a chain stitch or a cover stitch, depending on which technique that you're going to use. And I'm going to show you both options, or a couple of options now. To start sewing, we're going to place the fabric under the foot. And I just want to mention here that I'm using an orange thread, a blue fabric and a black elastic, but obviously on your project, you know, you can match the thread colour. We also do the shearing elastic in either black or white, so you can choose whichever one matches your project best. But this is just for the purposes of this video. I'm using a lightweight cotton lawn fabric because shearing will work best on lighter weight fabrics. It's a gathering effect using elastic, so obviously it's easier to gather a lightweight fabric for the machine. But I've just put my foot down. I'm going to turn my hand wheel towards me for the first few stitches, and then I can cut that excess thread off, and then we'll go ahead and sew that first row of shearing. And while you're sewing, you want to keep one eye on the elastic as it feeds through the telescopic thread guide at the top. If it gets caught, just make sure that you stop and just free it up so that it can keep feeding through. And I'm going to keep going till I reach nearly the end. And then, really ideally, what you want to do is to either sew in the round and do spirals, or you can do what I'm about to do, and this is what's required on a lot of sheared panels on garments and things. Stop with your needle in the down position, pivot your fabric round, put your foot back down again, sew a couple of stitches, and then you can go back the other way to start creating those rows of shearing. But you can see there that initial effect, it's so pretty. So I've just done a couple of stitches the other way, and then I'm going to raise my foot and just manoeuvre that fabric round. And then I can lower my foot and go back the other way. And you've got markings on your foot as well, so you can line those up with the previous line of shearing so that you're nice and even with it. I'm not going to worry too much about that for this demonstration, but just giving you that as a little tip. Like I say, just keeping your eye on how that elastic's feeding through. If it starts to get caught and pull, you just need to free it up a little bit, and then you'll be able to continue sewing. And the reason that we do the pivot, or we sew in the spirals, is because that way it's more likely to consistently work. Whereas if you chain off the end of the fabric, which you can't do on all cover stitch machines, but you can do on the baby lock ones, that's when you might encounter more problems. So if you can just make it a continuous process, that's a better way to do it. But let's just chain off the end now so we can have a look at what we've created. So you can see there we've created 2 lovely rows of shirring, really pretty, gorgeous gathering. It's got that lovely stretch to it. That's how it looks on the wrong side. Again, obviously with this fabric you would probably use a white elastic, which we also stock on the site. And you know, again, you can be more sort of precise with how you space your shirring than I was for a demonstration, but you can see how you can easily and quickly create that shirring using your cover stitch machine. And there's also a technique where you can sew it using 2 needles in your cover stitch needle bar. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that now. And again, I'm just going to leave my needles in the down position to pivot. So a couple of stitches the other way, and then pivot round the other way. And again, you can see the effect I've created there where you've got those 2 parallel rows of stitches. So, you know, there's lots of different techniques and things you can try. You can just have a play around with it to create the effect that you want to create. Just keep your eye on the elastic as it feeds through. And all of the samples I've done today in the demonstrations have been on my baby lock machine. And we do stock the full range of baby lock machines on our site. They've all got full in-depth reviews on their videos, so do check those out and get in contact with us if you'd like to get your hands on one of these fabulous machines. But you can also create this on other cover stitch machines. I just showed you on the one that I currently use. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial as much as I enjoyed making it. I just love it when you discover a brand new way to sew one of your favourite sewing techniques. If I've whetted your appetite and made you start thinking, oh, maybe I could justify a cover stitch machine after all, do get in touch. I'll be very happy to help. We are experts in these machines. And if you like what you see today, please like and subscribe, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.